everybody. It's Sunday night at MBE. Thank you for joining us. So this week at MBE, so we got Big 9 in here. It's just topping off the seats, and then it'll go in to do the seat bores and chambers, and then on to final boarding. So that job runs. That's the last op on the machine. So that's about a 5-hour op. And then what's nice about us is we try to keep things as organized as possible. Everything gets a build sheet, so depending on what program it is and everything like that, and then all of them get marked here because all these are different down here. So this set is different than this set, which is different than this set. So we just try to keep all that in order, in line, and actually we do a pretty good job with that. The guys do a good job of keeping it organized. It starts with us in the front. It starts with Sally getting the information written down, and then me looking at it and refining anything that needs to be so basically we've been running these all weekend. I was here most of the day yesterday and here yesterday, so just filling the machine, making sure we got spindle time going to get as many Big 9s as possible done, to keep caught up with everything, which we're going to be caught up with it, which is great. We just got a pallet of castings. We got another pallet coming in the next few weeks, so we'll easily have enough product to get out the door. So yesterday was, of course, feeding the machine, doing the orders, getting the worksheets correct, and actually finishing the phone calls up also, and getting the emails down to 0. So it was a pretty good day. So starting Monday, in a very good place. So come down here. So we got the Big 9s. Of course, we got the blower manifold right here for the Big 9s. So these are going on a boat with 2 Roots blowers on it and Big 9 cylinder heads. So again, these are the Hemi killers. That's what they've become, and this is going to be a pretty badass piece. Of course, we got the billet manifolds, so we can do anything from a 9.6 deck to a 10.7 deck with the billet manifolds, because we have a few different versions. Even if you do have to add a spacer, it's the same. The flange is identical to what the manifold is. So when we bolt it to it, you can't tell. So, and that little 1/4 inch isn't going to move RPM in the manifold a bit. It's not enough to do anything. Okay, so good here, Biggs. Let's go in here. So this is a customer of ours. Steve Williams has been a customer and a good friend for almost 20 years now. I think it's been 18 years, I believe, maybe 19. But this is a set of his Big 9, so he has a newer set and he's got an older set. You can see we welded this piece in right here. So you can see Ian welded this in. I mean, he's got a lot of talent, Ian does. And then this has been milled on the CNC machine, so now this is all flat again. After Ian's welding is so good that you cannot tell that this wasn't full flange to begin with, but the reason now this is like this now is because Steve's also has found the benefit of going to the billet manifold, and we're doing the billet valley tray for it, for the Big 9 for his. Steve races Super Comp and Super Gas, multi-time division champion and a world champion too, and I think Super Comp it was a few years ago. And there's a set right here, so these are the cylinder heads for the blown boat. So this will be pretty cool. So these are, the guys have already been working on the manifolds, that's why we're over there. And then we have, here's a set, Mr. Hardy bought a set of 18-degree conventionals. So they're here, and he actually had a timing belt break, which, that's just like bad luck. Like those things typically don't break. And he didn't even have a lot of time on it, just bad luck it looks like. But you can see now they're all valve job. You can tell when they go back on the epochs, everything is like brand new again. So it's always a good idea for the customer to send his heads back, because we can program all these angles and the length of these angles perfectly instead of using a form cutter that's not the correct angles that you send to your local shop. Plus, you get something valve job on a $100,000 machine instead of a $10,000 machine, and the stuff will last forever. So you can tell we probably took a thou or two off of these. That's it. They're cleaned up. There's hardly anything to blend. So these are almost finished and ready to go back together. We have a brand new set here. You can tell they don't look too much different. I'm sorry, Biggs, let me help you out. There's a brand new set. when those are when Hardys are blended and everything, the chambers will look like this. They'll look brand new again. The guys take a lot of pride. Bob and Ian take a lot of pride in making sure everything is perfect. This is for drag week right here. So this is another finished set. So these are for Mr. Schwieger. So these have the soft chamber. This is a turbo application for drag week. The reason why these work so good and the Big 9s work so good for drag week is because of the one-piece rocker bar that allows you to use half-inch push rods. And then if you want, you can run 900 lift and we can push that little inch 310 spring on it and you can go drive it 200 miles. So it's one thing, we can refine everything, most importantly, so it doesn't break. We don't want it breaking. If it breaks, we don't sell heads. So we try to put all the best components in, and that includes the seats, using the real copper beryllium seats, not the brass that people just put in because they're cheap and they're just a color, and the basic public doesn't really understand. They only see a color, so they think that the brass is good and it's terrible. Okay, and so let's go in here. And you can see just stuff coming in, you know, service and everything. So a lot of these heads we've been servicing for years. Sometimes some of the stuff is from 2002 that's in here. But that just goes to show you when it comes back here, this stuff can last 20 years and you can still keep running it. And we have a set of SP2s in here that are like that. We'll go right to those, Big, since we can talk about those. This is a set of SP2 cup heads that we...
Oh, wrong side. I'm on the other side. There
we updated these in 2003 or 4. So these have a lot of miles on them. But this customer, what we did was we put 16 new seats in it. So now everything is, all the seats are back up to normal and everything's perfect. The guides were still good, surprisingly, being that old. So basically just put seats in them, valve jobbed them. You may, if you watched some of the this week's at MBEs, you would have seen these here. But now, after final cleaning, these will look like a brand new set of heads. And this guy will really, the SP2 castings are so good, if you get the right date code, that, you know, this guy will probably get another 20 years out of them, if he wants. So now that we're in this room, Biggs has set this up for, I came in today and he goes, we're doing small block stuff. I just want to show all the small block stuff that we do. So there's no real rhyme or reason to it, but it doesn't have to be. It's fine. So we'll just go through it. We'll start with the fancy stuff. We got the billet stuff here. So we got a billet small block Ford we do. We have the billet small block Chevy. You can look at the, so they look pretty. The reason why we do all this, it keeps all the weight out of it, where some of the competitor stuff is anywhere from 44 to 49 pounds. That head right there is 35. So you do that times 2, it's a huge weight savings. And right where you need it, off the nose of the car. So we have that. Well, typically, not all the time, I should say. Of course, the pretty valve covers that go with them, with the dovetail O-ring, so the O-ring won't come out. That's what that means. And we have these, so we set those out. And this is a set. The customer wanted to put a fitting on it, so he wanted to put these 2 fittings on it. Mike Janis is building this engine, so we said, hey, go get all this welding done, get the fittings where you want it. So Mike went and got the fittings where they needed to be and everything, sent them back. Now we'll have him powder coated to whatever color he wants, and now this will all look nice and clean and we didn't mess it up. So it'll look really pretty when they're done. So we got that. So the billet heads over here, and then Biggs would just, yeah, let me come over here. Sorry about that. So we have our, I don't have a finished one here, but Biggs grabbed this. So this is our symmetrical head, small block Chevy, 400 bore space. Just the ports are roughed in right now, and the seat bores and everything. We get these without seat bores, guide bores, spark plugs. We put all that in ourselves. So, but it has a 2-300 valve, an inch 610 valve. So this is for drag racing. This port volume is way too big for any kind of dirt racing or endurance type racing. It's just too big. It's not made for that. So large cubic inch, high RPM, one or the other. Doesn't have to be both because you can't do both, but one or the other. And then that's the MBE symmetrical small block Chevy. Got something that flows in the 480, 485 range on a 1020 bench. And as I think everybody knows, I think we're one of the only companies that guarantees the flow numbers. And the reasons why we can are the machinery that we use, the people that we have. Really, that's it. So we have that. So right now we have these over here. So this is, we use, John at CID makes this casting for us. So we get them without spring pockets, guide bores, rocker gear, seat bores, everything, you know, and then we machine it all in so you can kind of see the stages of it. This has got spark plugs in it now and seat bores, so this would be ready for seats. We have 3 different versions just of this head alone. There's a finished 12 degree right there with all the lightning. We have this set in inventory. So this is ready to go with hollow stem valves and everything, and rockers. So everything is here for this. So somebody could have their engine together in a matter of probably 10 weeks. They could have the whole thing finished. We can give you all the information for the piston and everything, but let's go through this. So we have a 12 degree. 12 degrees a large port, large cubic inch. This would be for like 454 to whatever. These guys are building 490 inch motors with power adders. It works excellent for us. So you got nitrous, procharger, twin turbos, anything like that. These work excellent for. And then we have our 10 degree version, which is, that 10 degree version is completely different than this. So the guide bore locations, everything is different because we start with this, we can make a better piece for each application. And the guide positionings do change for each application. We just don't use the same ones. And we do this to try and so we have an advantage over some of the competitors. That's the idea of doing that. So the 10 degree is for super late models, like the dirt stuff, things like that. Any endurance application. So you got something with a much smaller port, which will have throttle response coming off the corner. It'll still run hard at 3,500 RPM on restarts. And then we have the new 8 degree, normally aspirated version, where we took the ports we put in our billet heads, the brand new stuff that we've done, and we put it in this head. Because we dictate where the spark plug goes and the guide bores and the seat bores, we basically take that program with a little bit of fooling around and we drop it in this casting. So now you got something that flows 500 CFM on the NA stuff. The power adder stuff for the 12 degree goes like 480, 485. And the super late model stuff, which is awesome because they make like 940 in the super late model. That's a real number. But you got something, it's got a ton of airspeed because it has valve area, but the port is small, and that's why it works good on restarts. But that thing flows 455, and that's a real number, and it's not huge. It runs good. It won a lot of races this year. Okay, now we got some LS stuff right here. So this is the Dart LS 10 degree Biggs grab. All we have with this is we put seat bores and guide bores in it. This is our model head. So this is something this is where we scan and do our development on. But this is a Dart LS 10 degree head. This also has a 2300 intake valve in it, so a lot of valve area. Flows about 480, 485. But this is also meant for either high RPM LSs, like 10,000 RPM, 400 cubic inch, or this can be used for 460, 480 inch LSs. It has enough cross-sectional area to feed it. So then you have something that it'll feed it. It's not as small as like an LS7. Okay, so this works for pro chargers and all the power adders, nitrous, anything like that. And then you go to this LS right here. So this is a casting that John at CID, just like the Ford, he does this LS one. So we take this and we get this without seat bores and guide bores and everything like that. So this is kind of in the stages right here. It's got spark plugs in it, seat bores and guide bores, and then we'll do the finished porting to it. And here's a finished one right here. So this is the most inexpensive high-end LS7 head that we sell. So it is significantly less than this. The port volumes are much smaller, but it still flows 450 CFM. I mean, it's got a 250 intake valve, inch 600, and it's not canted. Where all of this other stuff is all canted. None of this isn't canted, so that makes the rocker gear less money. So this package is significantly less money. We can do them with steel seats to save money. So when you knock the steel seats out of it, it certainly saves a bunch. Or knock the copper beryllium out of it. So, or when we put steel with it. Okay, then we got our 13 degree and our 10 degree. Biggs went and grabbed the raw casting first. So we have a 13 degree casting and a 10 degree. From the blind eye, they look identical. You can't tell the difference. So that's how that starts. You can see, once again, no spark plugs, nothing in it, no seat bores, guide bores, and everything, so we can dictate it. So we have 3 different versions of this. We have 3 different intake ports, 2 different exhaust ports, different chambers. Actually, we have 3 of the 10 degree and 3 of the 13 degree. So there's a lot of versions of this to make sure we have what's right for your application. So we have the drag race stuff, We have what we call like the 410 sprint stuff we do for this. In the 13 degree. And the plug placement is excellent on methanol if you guys want to run methanol in the 13. The 10 degree is not made for methanol. But those are for super late models. And then we have the drag race versions. And then with the 13 degree, we also do a midget version, which has a smaller exhaust port, smaller intake port. And I believe that won the Chili Bowl a few years ago. I can't remember what year it was. But yeah, this stuff runs very, very, very good. And we can put down nozzles in it and everything like this. Then we have the manifolds that we did for this. You get to the point where there's just not a lot of manifold stuff going on. It's like I said, since Edelbrock's on their third investment company, they don't do a lot of development anymore. And Rod, who used to do all that, has passed away. Sadly, passed away. He is extremely missed in our whole industry. He used to make things easy for all of us because he could design these things correctly. So now we just make them out of billet. We don't have Rod, so we design all this stuff ourselves now. So you can tell the difference. We have, well, you can just look at these to give you an idea. Drag race, dirt. Okay, so cross-sectional areas, we've shown this in the past. So this fits right on this. So we have like our super late model version right here, and then we have our drag race version right here. And we can put EFI on it. We can put nitrous nozzles, whatever you like. So whatever you need there. And then we have, I think that's it, Biggs. Oh, we also have John's manifolds, because we use a lot of John at CID's manifolds. So John has manifolds that we use that fit the billet small block Ford, the billet Chevy, so we can put a cast manifold on them. Also, they fit all three versions of this Ford, the 8 degree, the 10 degree, and the 12 degree. He makes a manifold for the LS, for our LSCID LS 12 degree head. So a lot of manifolds we can use, and we're lucky that John's, really the whole industry's lucky that John has taken on that responsibility to make all those manifolds, because really nobody else is. So it's really good. So we're very fortunate to all of that. And that's pretty much,
Back room?
I think that's it. Oh, back room?
Anything here?
No, just servicing some old stuff for some people. Not much there. Okay, but that's this week at MBE. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I know it was a long one. Well, hope you get all your Christmas shopping done. Thank you. Bye-bye.